everybody's doing good. Sorry I missed you guys this morning when you came out to practice. It's it's a Monday, but really it's I think a Wednesday in game prep, so it's kind of a little bit more locked in there. But apologize I missed you. Just kind of want to start off just our condolences, and also a really good man, a really good coach, and a really good Pirate this past weekend in Harold Robson. And what Harold meant not only to East Carolina football, but to high school football in East North Carolina. You know, a native of Washington, Beaufort County, coaching in Williamson and Martin County forever, and the influence he had on high school football in this region, and then also a true Pirate, and just our thoughts and prayers with him and his family as they go through this season of loss here. But just couldn't say enough good things about what he has meant to Pirate Nation over the years. Also, I want to talk about another Pirate, Trey Savage. A big day for the Blue Jays yesterday, and for Trey, and excited for him. We talked a little bit about Jaquan McMillan in practice today, and Trey's a perfect example of exactly what Jaquan is, just having an elite mindset and really preparing for the moment. And obviously, he had done that all season. When his moment came yesterday, he performed on the biggest stage there he is, and just a shout out to him, and representing his team and also Pirate Nation in such a manner. And the bye week's a little bit unusual. We go back and think about Army usually up here talking about the past game and what happened on Saturday. Now it's 11 days removed, and we had a chance to kind of do some recruiting during that time. I actually got out in Pitt County a little bit, was over at Conley High School, and saw some pretty good football over there, and saw a couple of you guys over there as well. And then over at Rose High School, and saw South Central there as well. So that was good to get out in the area and see some good football. And also while I was over at Rose, saw they honored the 50th anniversary of the first state championship team at Rose High School, and saw those guys out there and just setting the foundation for Rose High School and the culture way back then and what's carried on and to today. So that was pretty cool just to see a little football in the area. Going back to Army, just kind of reflecting on it a little bit. We're always looking out the windshield, not in the rear view, but it was a really good win. Good way to start off the conference 1-0. Against what you're seeing is an Army team that's probably, is 1-2 in the conference right now, maybe 2-2 after this weekend. And, they even did some things that maybe they weren't used to last year, but I think that's a little credit to our guys and our players and the way they attack things. Offensively came out, started fast. First 3 drives, put up 7 points. Anthony and Caden connected down the field. Caden got in the end zone there, and then Anthony got in the end zone as well. And really, that's the way you want to start, especially against an option team, is get the lead. Thought we converted well on 3rd down, got the rushing attack going late in the game. And then defensively, that's probably as good of a defensive performance as I've seen against an option team in a long time. So just really proud of those guys. And then special teams added a score right there at the end with Kyler Pearson. But as I tell our guys, you can take confidence from the beginning of the year. And I think if you look at the stats right now, we're doing a lot of things well. But we got to focus on the things we're not doing well and kind of get them up there. We can't take one play from the beginning of the year into this week versus Tulane. So our focus has been on Tulane. A lot of times in a bye week, you have a time to reflect and kind of look at yourself, what you did for a couple of days. Well, pretty quickly, we got started on our preparation for Tulane. It'll be 14 days coming in this Thursday since we last played. A little less for them, I think 12, because they played on a Saturday. We played on a Thursday. They're a 4-1 football team. They've got a couple wins in the conference, or 1-0 in the conference. And I believe, and I might be wrong in this, Stephen, you can kind of correct me, we've won in New Orleans, but never at Dolman Stadium. I believe that's correct. Summerall's doing a great job there. John Summerall, their head coach. I think he's like the 5th highest winning percentage coach in college football right now at 778. So last year they were, I think his conference record since he's joined the Americans 11-2. Last year in 2024, they played for the American Conference Championship as well as Army. Offensively, they are a pro-style shift motion, move around. They'll do a little bit of huddling. Offense, Joe Craddock has been his offensive coordinator at Tulane as well as at Troy. And then on the defensive side of the ball, defense coordinator Greg Gasparado, you'll see a similar style of defense to what you saw from Army. He is a Nate Woody disciple. Actually coached against him when we were in the Southern Conference. He was at Wofford, and I was at Citadel. So it'll be similar there. And then special teams is one of their strong suits as well. I think they've got a really good kicker, really good punter, and return guy, Omari Hayes, who was actually at FAU last year. Offensively, they're averaging 26 points a game, over 400 yards per game. I think the bulk of that's coming on the ground, over 200 yards a game rushing. Jake Resloff is the quarterback, transfer from BYU, so we thought we'd see him, in the offseason at BYU a couple weeks ago, and some things happened there, and he ended up at Tulane. He's actually seventh nationally in rushing touchdowns, with 7 touchdowns. So you think of quarterbacks, you think of the arms. He can certainly spin it, and very strong arm there, and does a good job putting it in small windows, tight spaces. But where I really see him hurt teams, especially Duke, I think he had 4 rushing touchdowns alone in that game, is just on the ground. Whether it's scrambling or quarterback design run game, I think he's a competitor and does a really good job. I think, if you think about rushing teams, rushing offenses, you think about their O-line. I think the right guard, Shadre Hurst, the kid from Cartersville, starts with him. I think he's preseason All-American, does a really good job, got some really nice feet in there. And then center Jack Hollifield, who actually played for Coach Ware in high school, was at App State last year, so he's played in our stadium before. We played against them a couple times. Is their center. So those are kind of the 2 guys that stand out on the O-line. The backfield is kind of a stable of guys. I think Turner, number 0, is kind of the guy that stood out to me early in the season. He's had some injuries throughout the season, missed some time, but he's got a little flash to him. Mobley is number 2. Mobley is the kid that transferred from FAU over to Tulane, an older kid. Barnes is their returning running back, number 20, and then a guy that's a freshman and put the ball in the end zone a couple times, number 23, Gordon. So all 4 of those kind of do it by committee and kind of a stable back there. The tight ends in this offense are very key as far as their 12 personnel, 11 personnel, 13 personnel. And they got 3 guys that get a lot of time in there with 82, Pescuzzi, who's a transfer from Iowa, Reed, 88. I believe he's from Newnan there, Newnan High School. And then the Miller kid, 85, who's from Duluth High School. All 3 play a lot. I think both of his passing touchdowns have been 2 tight ends. And then the receivers, mentioned Omari Hayes in the return game. He's electric out there. I think they are really good short area quickness out wide. There's going to be some guys you don't see with a lot of length, but I think they make up for it in speed. So if you try playing in some man, some one-on-one type stuff, they make it challenging for you out there. So Bohannon's another guy out there, 83, and 5, Brown Stevens can play. The guy that has a little bit of length is number 7, Preston. But they'll use shift motions, movements. They'll play with some tempos to change that up on you. And then they'll obviously dial up some shots to throw the ball down the field, whether it's deep cell routes, scissor routes, or just some cross-country routes there as well. Defensively, I mentioned the same style as Army, but you'll see, I think, a little bit more aggressiveness in there from him. 29, Santana Hopper, I think, was Player of the Week last Monday. He's a transfer from App State, originally from Shelby. Their field end, number 6, Cameron Hamilton, stands out to me, just kind of a guy that makes some plays, can give you a hard time up front, so you got to know who those guys are. I think the D-line overall is a group that has depth, plays with, physicality, quickness, all those things. Those are the guys that stand out. The nickel, I think he's already got 3 picks on the year. Javion White does a really good job, so you better know where he's at and make sure you put it in the receiver's hands and keep it away from him. The safety 32 comes downhill and strike it. And then the kid from St. Pius, number 1, who's a transfer from Troy, Jack, is doing a really good job playing back there. So all in all, a solid football team. They do things that gives them a chance to win football games. They started off the season beating Northwestern, Northwestern was favored in that game, I believe. And then turn around the next week, go on the road, beat the South Alabama team in a tight ball game. Turn around the next week, play Duke, who they lost their quarterback to, Mensa. And Duke went down there and they got up on them 21-3 at the half, and then Resloff had another rushing touchdown, make it 28 to I think 9 or something in there, and played really well and got the win against them, and then obviously beat Tulsa on the road as well. So they're coming off a bye week and have done some good things and just really good football team, and looking forward to Thursday night playing down in New Orleans. And, we talk to our players all the time. Obviously, we're going to respect our opponent, be prepared for our opponent, know exactly what they do. But our focus is still on us. Focus is about what we do, how we approach it, our mindset, and how we prepare for the football game. So that's kind of been our main mindset through the bye week. This time we'll go with any questions.
You mentioned getting a jump on Tulane, but just internally, what did you guys kind of focus on during the bye, specific areas to work on?
Yeah, there was a couple things. I mean, one, obviously, you're going to get some younger guys, some looks, some younger guys, a few more reps. It's an opportunity for us to scrimmage those younger guys a little bit. So you're continuously throughout the season, you're always working on player development, but a little bit more focused on some younger guys, freshman development there as well. And then you look at key areas that, hey, maybe we view as a weakness as coaches. You know, fourth downs, red zone, you know, big plays, third and extra, whatever it may be. Then you kind of, you know, find ways to go attack that and set your practice up to that. We got to do a better job of sequencing plays, I think. You know, some special things that I think we can clean up. So all those things we kind of go back, take a look at, and really make that the focus. We practiced last Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday of last week, and really Monday and Tuesday was more about us and looking inwards and kind of making sure we're prepared for the second half of the season here. You're 5 games in, so it gives you a good snapshot of where you're at, and then also a good snapshot of where you can go to. So I think we did a good job of that. And then Thursday, we kind of jumped right into the lane because we were 7 days out from the football game.
Coach, when you look at Retzlaff and he's their leading rusher as well, I mean, as a dual threat, what does he kind of present in that aspect of the offense as well?
Yeah, you see in the Duke game, I think on the first drive, he runs a little zone read in there, you know, tucks it away. The defensive, they really don't honor him at all with the defensive end, and the linebacker should have had him. And he just kind of gets up the field and gains chunk yards, and then finally gets in the end zone in the second one. So you got to do a great job of playing fundamental, sound football because he's got all the +1 runs. He got to make you honor him, and then you know if it's 3rd and long and it's not there, he's going to tuck it and run. He doesn't put the ball in harm. You know that's the thing you notice about him. Like he doesn't put it where somebody can pick it off or make a bad decision. You know if the throw's not there, if it's not open, he's going to tuck it and run, and he can certainly chew up some yards in a hurry. And has done a good job of that.
Coach, in what ways do the bigger teams like NC State, BYU, in what ways do those prepare you for one of the better conference opponents you'll see?
Yeah, I think every game prepares you, you know, for the next game. You know, those experiences, the things that come up in a game. And we actually even took some games this weekend that we saw on TV and was talking about them yesterday morning and, you know, before practice and our team meeting, just about how you can learn from those experiences. And certainly games in Raleigh or BYU here can help prepare you for games like this and teams like this. You know, it's a similar style in some ways to what maybe BYU did with the huddle, the shifts, the motions, the trades offensively, you know, odd front. So there is some carryover. So you just take things that you learn from those ball games or throughout the season, the coastal game, whatever it may be, and build on them. So, and again, you know, we can't make it about like, hey, make it a big game or make it a big, you know, they're all big games. You know, we got to kind of pull the thumb, look inwards, and make it about us.
Coach, you just said it, make it about us. When you look at that, does one of the themes have to be like, hey, you don't have to win it on this play. You know, don't have to make a play here. Like, just play pirate football and just keep it. You know.
No question, Brian. This is absolutely what it is. Is like, hey, forget everything else and make it about us. And that's really like us is good enough, right? And there's a bunch of us out there. You don't have to be the one that makes the play all the time. Count on your teammates. Do your 111. Do your job. And if everybody does that, you know, we'll play pirate football and play the right way. And I think, you know, there's been times this year where maybe we thought we had to make a play and we made a mistake. And I think we can learn from those things moving forward, just like we talked about. That, hey, if I just do my 111th, do my job, and focus on that to the best of my ability, we'll be just fine.
Starting when you guys defended C.J. Bailey in the opener and continuing throughout the rest of the season, you guys have done a very good job defending the quarterback run. What do you think your defense has done successful so far in that?
Being aware of it is probably the big thing. You know, I think if you can stop the run, and obviously we need to early in the game this week, and if you can do those things and put him in situations 3rd and long, you know, he's not 3rd and medium, 3rd and short where you're guessing. And then the only quarterback run game he has is a scramble. You can be aware of that, put spies on him, and put guys that, you know, can have an opportunity to make a tackle. You don't want to put a spy on him that's, you know, not as athletic as he is, and he's pretty dang athletic and can run and move around. But we got to do a good job with that. I think C.J. Bailey's a perfect example of, hey, keep the guy in front of you, keeping him in the pocket, make sure when we rush, we're under control and keep him in there. You know, even the BYU kid, he would probably rather take off than he would throw the football. Although, you know, in the last couple of weeks, we've seen him throw the football really well. But all those kids that help prepare you, you know, for Jake and what some things he can do, and he may be the best we've seen so far.
Coach, this is a program that's been a staple now in the championship game for this conference, and what do you think is making them, you know, so successful in that aspect the last few years?
Yeah, there's probably several aspects that we want to get into, but you know, I think they've done a good job for the last several years. Coach Fritz was there, and I think, you know, Pratt and those things kind of lined up. So, you know, defensively they had a run there. Some guys just moved on to the NFL as well, and they still got those guys that play hard. They got that mindset and that culture. And John Summerall's continued that. And he did that at Troy, and certainly does a great job coaching, and all the coaches do. So I think, you know, the fact that they continually go play the right way, go attack it the right way, and that's what we want to be. That's what we want to do with our football team is make sure our mindset is to play our tails off with great effort, great energy, and you know, that you've seen them do that, and that's kind of why they've been able to win games. I think they're maybe first or second in the country on road games. I think they've won like 17 or 19 straight. They're 32-5 over the last couple of years, something wild in the American Conference. So just consistency. And I think I just saw a quote a little while ago about average teams, mediocre teams, even good teams not being consistent. But the great teams are consistent day in and day out through the process. And the process is being urgent about it, being attentive about it, attention to detail. All those little things helps you be a great football team. That's certainly what they've done throughout the years.
Coach, from my understanding, you are doing like some activities on the road this year.
Yeah.
And so what kind of goes in that like balance of the head coach? You want your team to be focused, but also experience kind of the venues, so to speak.
Yeah, there's no question. You know, I look at it sometimes like we go on a flight and go to a stadium and then get right back on the flight and fly home. And it's like, well, somebody asks you, well, did you see this or did you see it? Well, you don't even have an opportunity to see that because you're just thinking on the game. And I think it is, you know, our main focus, our main job is go win the football game. But I don't think, you know, if you go to Myrtle Beach and you take a walk on the beach and you enjoy the ocean and, you know, what God's created, I think that's pretty special. How many times will our guys get back to Myrtle Beach and get an opportunity to do that? You know, when we go to Temple, we're going to go run the Rocky Steps. When we go to San Antonio, we're going to go see the Riverwalk, maybe the Alamo. And then, you know, this weekend we go to New Orleans. We're going to go see a cathedral. Cafe de Monde, I keep calling it, you know, whatever they make there, and just experience a little bit. You know, it's a way to stretch our legs out for 20, 30 minutes, but also at the same time, I think, how many opportunities are our young men ever going to have to go back to New Orleans? And it kind of relaxes them a little bit, you know. At the same time, they'll be focused and ready for the game. I don't think it has one way or the other helping us get a defensive stop or an offensive score, you know. But I don't think it hurts us either. So I think it's just a good opportunity to expose those young men to opportunities like that and relax them a little bit at the same time.
Any other questions for Coach? Right here, we got one more. Last one. Okay, two more.
Button that says on.
Just want to know how's Xavier doing, and what do you think you can get from him this week?
Yeah, we got several guys. Even though you have a bye week, we got several guys we're monitoring right now just to kind of see where they're at, see if they're full go. It's just, you got to make a decision. You know, if you got guys banged up a little bit, you know, if I play them, if they are to play, does it set them back? Or, you know, if they do play, are they going to be 75%, 90%? Is their 90% or 75% better than the next guy? And I think one thing we've done a really good job of developing young men and developing our depth on both sides of the football, that we got other guys that are pretty dang good football players too. So, you know, Xavier, there's a couple more kind of monitoring, keep an eye on the next 24 hours and decide like, hey, do they need to be on the trip and be on the plane with us? Because, you know, if you're not out there and be full speed and 100% and flying around and helping us make plays, then maybe it's best that, hey, we pull back a little bit. That way the following game you can, because you don't want to lose a guy for 2 games and you're trying to, you know, one game he's on half speed or half go, and well, you could have held him back and now you got him the rest of the season. So we got to make the best decision for that individual and our football team at the same time. Make sure we're doing, you know, what's right for the individual and the football team to help us win games.
Coach, you guys were a lot better with penalties against Army. I think just 2 that night. On the road in a venue out of state, how important is that discipline to maintain?
Yeah, we're trying to what somebody called the Cancun fund the other day. They're cutting back on our Cancun fund, but you know, I thought the guys did a better job of just being locked in. And like tomorrow's our 2 days before the game. I used to call it Focus Thursday, but our locked in shirts, we wear those tomorrow, and did a better job throughout the game of doing that against Army. And that's key, not only this Thursday against Tulane in a conference game, but every single week. And you can watch football, you know, on the, you know, the good thing about playing on Thursdays, and some have pros and cons to it, whatever, but one of the good things, you get the chance to watch everybody else play. And you can see how silly mistakes can lose you a football game. You can also see how being disciplined can win you a football game. And we watched, you know, at the end of a couple of games as a team yesterday. It was the end of the UCLA game, Penn State game, and also the end of the Florida game, Texas game. And just there's a few things in there that hit a nerve there with somebody. There's a few things in there that, like, you got to be prepared for the moment. You know, we do a lot of end of the game situations, and you can see in those two games, I'm not sure those two teams, you know, some of those teams were prepared, maybe they were, and just didn't do a great job executing, but being prepared for the moment. And we talk about, hey, the process and how the process, you got to attack it every single day, even though it may not come up every single Saturday. At some point, it's going to come up and it's going to win you a ball game. So, you know, all those little things, being attention to detail, being disciplined with penalties, all those are going to help us win a ball game, especially when you're playing a good football team like Tulane. So, thank you guys.
Thank you, Coach.